Stranger Things is Netflix's first IP to ever generate $1 billion.
This show made Netflix a real studio.
And that's why I think it's so important they're doing another spin-off of Stranger Things, and probably why they did a season 5 for the show was because they want to keep writing these IPs just like Disney does. How many times has Disney just rinsed and recycled the same exact IP a million times over again?
Welcome to the Real Oshow. I'm Zachary. Joining me as always, my partner in crime, my brother Joshua.
And on today's episode, we break down the creators of Stranger Things and Arthur Blank's Underdog story from being fired at 36 to becoming an NFL owner. Enjoy.
They paper getters, they want money more than they want fame shit. I swear we go so hard, we on A-list. I see my niggas prevailing. He going hard for the hand. We gonna stack that we jaded.
This is a great interview. They doing their thing.
We're going to get right into it. This week, we are deep diving the Duffer Brothers, the creators of Stranger Things.
If you don't know, Matt and Ross Duffer are twins from North Carolina. Before Netflix picked up Stranger Things, the brothers were rejected by 20 networks due to lack of credibility. Until one day, a well-known director named Shawn Levy believed in their vision and raw talent. When Shawn originally read the script, the show was titled Montauk, based off a real-life conspiracy of an abandoned Air Force base that did human experiments and mind control. But at the time, Levy was actually hesitant to read it because his company, 21, was looking for featured films, not TV shows at the time. But after he read it, he fell in love with the script and the brothers and was willing to do whatever he had to do to get the show produced. So Shawn immediately contacts Netflix, and with his credibility, they buy the show for season 1 within 24 hours. But it wasn't that easy. Before Netflix, the brothers were rejected almost 20 times by other networks for it being an adult show, but the characters are kids. Where Netflix was one of the only places that would allow this type of creative freedom, and the brothers built the show perfectly. Because they wanted to build it like an 8-hour movie, with each episode having a cliffhanger to force you to binge watch the whole entire season in one weekend. Which was exactly what Netflix was looking for at the time, and it was a perfect match. Because now every Netflix TV show is built exactly like Stranger Things. Not only have the Duffer Brothers helped Netflix make over $1 billion off Stranger Things, they've also set up themselves perfectly with a spin-off for Netflix and a 4-year deal with Paramount to create new movies and TV shows. But my favorite part about the Duffer Brothers, they are a combination of their idols Steven Spielberg and Stephen King, which allowed them to create one of the best TV shows of all time.
I want to go back to what you alluded to earlier. Stranger Things is Netflix's first IP to ever generate $1 billion. And that's all before season 5 even dropped. Since 2020, Stranger Things has been a perfect intellectual property for Netflix. From merchandising to brand placement to live events, promotions, like you said earlier, spin-offs. They said in season 4 alone, they made an estimated $30 million just off product placement from Coca-Cola and Sony. And a really cool fun fact is the music featured on the show, like Kate Bush's Running Up a Hill, it's experienced so much popularity that it's generated millions of dollars in royalty for the artist. The show made the song more popular than it originally was and has basically made the artist's whole career.
What I don't think gets talked about enough, yes, it was the first $1 billion IP for Netflix, but this show made Netflix a real studio. So like before Netflix, it was like Warner Bros. And Hollywood. And like if you weren't coming out of there, no one gave you a chance. And literally Stranger Things was the reason Netflix is possibly the most powerful studio and is changing the movie TV show industry as we speak.
I agree. I think it's also the most important time for Netflix to have winners like this. They obviously have Stranger Things. They have Squid Games now. They started to kind of build that IP umbrella, but it's almost critical now more than ever because Disney has officially bought Hulu. They're trying to buy Warner Bros. Disney is obviously a behemoth itself, and Netflix is just its own thing trying to compete. And that's why I think it's so important they're doing another spin-off of Stranger Things, and probably why they did a season 5 for the show was because they want to keep writing these IPs just like Disney does. How many times has Disney just rinsed and recycled the same exact IP a million times over again? Netflix is at least investing in original ideas, and when they get an IP, they're going to squeeze that sucker.
Yeah, I'm curious how the spin-off goes because I feel like that happened with 50 Cent where they kind of kept spinning it off. Game of Thrones has done the spin-offs, and it's like none of those have ever like stuck. Like it's hard to come back with another viral moment off some other sub-story or like deep diving like the third best character's family heritage and building that back up. I find it hard to go backwards once you do the show, but there's going to be tons of people who watch it, and it's a genius idea. One, of course, by the Duffer Brothers, because I think they have a little bit more incentive with this one, where Netflix had the full incentive because they literally just bought the IP outright. Obviously, you still make money, but what I'm curious about is the Paramount deal with the 4 years where they're literally getting paid to create new TV shows and movies. I'm very interested what that happens because what you just talked about is these studios like Netflix and Paramount, these are kind of the new kids, but the real players on the block. So it'll be fun what they spin up outside of just Stranger Things.
Yeah, it kind of makes me think, why hasn't Netflix exclusively locked down the Duffer Brothers for not just series, but movies? They're obviously really good in the horror genre. Horror is one of the biggest genres in filmmaking. Like, when you think about the movie theater, there's always a scary movie there. There's always a new scary movie dropping. I always ask myself, who's watching these? But they're obviously super popular. I also find it very interesting that they have a deal with Paramount when they're currently writing deals with Netflix. And I understand the shows have break periods. It takes time for another season to come out. It takes a lot of time to produce these, but they're not just writing these. A lot of times they're directing it, producing it. They do everything in between. So maybe they're just really good at it. I don't know.
It's funny that you just brought that up because I was looking at it before you even said it. So the reason they're able to do both, they have the spinoff, so Netflix is probably just cool with that. The one thing that Paramount is giving them outside of the TV shows is real like movie theater movies, which Netflix isn't going to be like, hey, we want you to write a new movie and then put it in the theaters. Netflix is like, if you write a movie, it's ours. We want it on our platform, exclusive to us, where Paramount's like, no, we want it on Paramount, but like we want it in the movie theaters first. And that was something Netflix couldn't offer. So I think that was kind of their loophole to be like, okay, we'll do this, but like we're going to go over here and you can't box us in if you can't offer that. So I think that's how they did it. So they're also playing with the two biggest players. Like, they're doing the best thing. Like, the Duffer Brothers might end up being the next Stephen King and Steven Spielberg if they play it right with Netflix and Paramount.
It's funny you say that because I see a world where Netflix does go to the movie theaters and they do produce films that go into the theaters, because these award shows are starting to be like, hey, if the movie doesn't go to the theater, it can't be up for an award, which makes me think if they hinder Netflix in that way, Netflix has to get into the movie theater game.
I don't see Netflix going to the movie theater at all. They fully have won the game. Why do you need to go to the movie theaters? They have the distribution. Everybody wants to be at home. I think that's that. It might hurt if they actually like, hey, you physically can never win an award unless you're in the movie theater. That's going to fully change. The whole world's changing. AI, artificial intelligence, at home, Uber Eats, like people are staying home now. Like, the movie theater is your couch in your living room with your family, with your girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever. That is the movie theater.
Yeah, but I don't think the movie theater is going anywhere, because at the end of the day, it's an experience. I just went and saw Now You See Me 3, and I'm like, wow, watching this in a movie theater just hits a little different. And I think that if they hinder it where they're like, hey, you have to go to a movie theater to see an award, I bet you Netflix drops 1, 2, 3 movies a year, because at the end of the day, you only need like 10, 12 weeks in the theaters. You don't need the whole draw that some of these have.
I'll be the first one to say it. I love going to the movie theaters, and I don't have the attention span or just like the interest to watch a movie at home, whoever with, like all the time. Like, I might be able to watch a half a movie. Sometimes I can watch a full one. Going to the movie theater is that experience. You get the popcorn, get the slushie, pay for the $13 water, no phone. You're in it. That is the experience. They have the nice chairs now. Half of them you can fucking order a steak dinner while you're sitting there. Like, I love the movie theater. It's 1000% not going anywhere. But why I don't see Netflix doing it? It's way more cost. You have to market it way more. Like, Netflix is just being like, trending movie, we just made it, but it's like top 10. Like, they control that. Whereas if you go to the movie theater, you have to put it on TV, you have to put it on radio, you have to put it on billboard, you have to get it on social media. You know how you do it? You got to get people to post about it, because you got to get people to actually go into the theater.
I disagree, because here's the thing. You just proved my point of they already have hundreds of millions of people that use Netflix and they just put it on their timeline, correct? That's what you said. So exactly, what they're going to do? They're going to put it on their timeline, brand new movie, and you're going to click on it and go, oh shit, let me see it. And it's going to be exclusive Netflix look only. And it's going to give you a 3-minute view of the movie. I'm telling you, that's what they're already doing it on Disney. They're already doing it on Amazon. Why wouldn't Netflix do it? You know what I mean? Like, I think part of it, I agree. The money is definitely there, but I think when push comes to shove, Netflix might just do it just to prove a point.
I'm not saying Netflix couldn't do it. I still think if they put it exclusively on Netflix has the most subscriber base. So I hate to say the word niche, but okay, you're only targeting people who have the Netflix app. Okay, right there. Then it's like, okay, I watched the exclusive trailer. Am I going to remember that oh shit, December 25th, I actually have to go to the theater with a billion other things I'm seeing on social media and just in my daily life every single day? No matter what, you're going to have to do a semi-traditional marketing rollout and or be creative, like the Timothy Charlemagne shit. Like, you got to get creative. You got to go Drake and live stream, and then it dropped. Like, There's got to be
If
more
someone
to it
would
than
do
just
it,
putting it
it
on
would be
Netflix.
Netflix has been
I'm
the
not
pinnacle
counting
in all of it. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, if anybody could do it, I think Netflix could.
I would never count out Netflix in anything.
All right, we're going to round out today's show with a Did You Know? Did you know the Atlanta Falcons owner was fired from a hardware store at 36 years old, and now he's one of the richest owners in the NFL? Back in the late 1970s, Arthur Blank was running a hardware chain called Handy Dan. He helped grow it into one of the top home improvement stores in the country. But in 1978, their parent company went through a takeover, and the new owners didn't like Blank, so they fired him. However, getting fired turned into one of the best things that ever happened to him because Blank teamed up with another fired exec, Bernard Marcus, and a financier named Ken Lagoni. Their idea was brilliant. Create a warehouse-style home improvement store with rock-bottom prices. In 1979, they opened their first Home Depot in Atlanta, Georgia. 2 years later, it went public, and the company exploded. By the 90s, it became the largest home improvement retailer in America, with Blank's stake in the company making him a billionaire. Then in 2002, he took that fortune and bought the Atlanta Falcons for $545 million. A decade later, he poured another $1.6 billion into building Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and that investment paid off because the Falcons are now worth over $5 billion, nearly 10 times what he paid for them. Meanwhile, Home Depot is now worth over $300 billion. And this has to be one of the greatest underdog stories in history, to be fired at 36, still become a billionaire, and be an owner of an NFL team.
Being an NFL owner has to be the best job ever. So I looked up Arthur's record. Joshua, what is his career record since he took over?
I'm going to say he's probably 50 in two, whatever the other is.
50? You're
50
only giving him
wins.
50 wins?
I'll give him 75.
Jesus, dude.
What's his thing?
Oh my God.
I guess they did make the
that's
Super Bowl
rude.
one year. I guess they
That's
did make the Super
rude,
Bowl one
dude.
year.
I hope he blocks you.
Why?
Oh my God. 195 wins,
Oh.
200 losses, and 1 tie.
The Falcons did make it to the Super Bowl, so maybe a little disrespectful. But when you think of good teams, you're never like, man, the Atlanta Falcons. Never.
No, they're a serial 7-9 team. Like they played in the worst division ever. Then they had a couple good years with Matt Ryan, but they also have the worst Super Bowl loss in history, which is an iconic Tom Brady. But NFL's rigged, so who actually knows? But
that's kind of crazy because when you think of the Atlanta Falcons, you go to their worst moment in franchise history when they had the greatest comeback. Tom Brady beat them.
Obviously, championships help the team become way more expensive. Patriots, Lakers, Celtics, whoever. But even if you're a 7-9 team, just below average, not even 500, the valuation of your team is crazy from when you bought it till now. Just to own it, just to physically have a team in the NFL, you could win 2 games a year. You're still a $4 or $5 billion no matter what.
100%. I mean, every time a team gets sold, your value goes up. Like when the Washington Commanders got sold for $7 billion, every single team just bumped up $1 billion. Yeah, we're worth more now. The Cowboys have to be worth $15 billion at this point because there's basketball teams selling for $10 billion. And if an NBA team is selling for $10 billion, then all the NFL teams should be worth more than that.
Says the Cowboys are worth between $12.8 billion and $13 billion.
I think that's low. I think if the Cowboys sold, it'd be a crazy figure.
The Cowboys will never get sold.
No, they'll never
It's
get
the
sold.
most legendary symbol. Maybe not the most legendary. Actually, it might be the most legendary team, but that star on your helmet is special. If you're a halfway decent player for the Cowboys, you're probably a Hall of Famer just because of the Cowboys alone.
I just couldn't imagine being an owner and ever selling the team. Why, even if your grandpa bought the team, why would you sell the team? It just makes no sense. It's literally something that no one can have.
So why did the Lakers do it?
There's a couple rumors.
It's a conspiracy. It was to raise all the other teams' evaluations.
Sure, I heard that, but I've also heard that the family owed a lot of money to things too.
Interesting.
There were some weird conspiracies going on about what was going on, and I think, again, we always talk about this all the time, the blackmail reign. How do we know that, that family didn't get into some blackmail or something they had to sell the team or something was going to come out? It's not that crazy. I feel like that's almost how some of these teams have to get sold nowadays. Is we will ruin you unless you.
Yeah, because there's legacy teams that are we need to get some new blood.
Exactly.
But there's also some people that should have sold the team a long time ago that seem to kind of hold on. So it's are they pulling the strings or just whatever? I don't know. Maybe we're just crazy.
I forget the guy who bought the Lakers, but he is the greatest owner in sports. He really is. He's willing to spend any amount of money to win, and you have to just love an owner who's willing to do that.
Makes a lot of sense. But if you made it this far, drop a like, leave a comment, hit subscribe. We'll see you next week. Peace.
I got a Sweat from my bros, I gotta stack out this gold. I tell you I'm on the road. About to get all this dough. Me and no fuck niggas know. I swear to God we the ghosts. This ain't the story they told. Man, if you know, then you know. I never had to tell my dogs that we on rough for greatness. They paper getters, they want money more than they want fame shit. I swear we go so hard, we on A-list. I see my niggas prevailing. We going hard for the hand. We gonna stack till we jaded. I just told my niggas that we on a mission. Yeah. It's gonna be hard to get it.